He also said you should enjoy life. He said that a few times in Ecclesiastes. Enjoy life. Whatever your situation is, just enjoy it. When I was out in the woods hunting, I was enjoying it. It was awesome. Just smelling the fresh air. I like to sit up in a tree. Mitch likes to sit in a blind, pop-up blind thing, but it's the fresh air and the leaves, and we always see something, raccoons or whatever, bluebirds I saw this time, flying all around, squirrels all over the place, deer sneaking around, just everything. And it's Lord's creation. And so for us, it's like a timeout, just to get away from all the man-made everything and just get to where you can just see and have a more clear view of what God's created and appreciate it, enjoy it. That's definitely what we do. In a four-wheeler, God allowed that to be created. I'm very happy about that. It's a nice way to get around, especially crossing that creek that's like this deep, and which is a little bit taller than my boots and my rubber boots. That's nice too. So, and I very much did enjoy it. So from Proverbs, we have a lot of lessons about things. Every single time I read Proverbs, I read it multiple times, like the lesson material. I got something different out of it every single time I read it. It wasn't that the words on the page changed. It was my understanding changed. I don't know how you can read something and miss something, right? Or somebody can tell me, Darla will say, I told you that 10 times. I don't think she told me one time. So I wasn't paying attention. But if you study, you're probably going to end up reading something more than once. If you meditate on it, it helps that your mind can think about it and help you to have understanding. Also, praying about it, that's another good idea. Praying about it, about your studies, that the Lord will help you understand what's going on wherever you are. You might be a Christian just saved today. You might be somebody saved 40 years ago, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. The Lord can help you understand what the Bible says better today than you did yesterday. Okay, so Proverbs and Ecclesiastes are a little bit different. Now, what do you think about Song of Solomon? Do you think that's going to be different? It's another different book. And you already noticed Brother Jim didn't say, Brother Dan, you're going to walk on my sermon today. I'm teaching about Song of Solomon. He didn't say that. Not today. So one of the things that I noticed as I'm reading Song of Solomon, by the way, I would have my notes, but we have this thing that I have to figure out how to fix on our computer that says, oh yeah, just automatically update the operating system, automatically update, Microsoft Office, whatever. Every single time that happens, it blows up my network adapter, and then I don't have any internet connection, I don't have any printer connection, I don't have anything. Now, Jake knows how to fix it. So that's one of the reasons he's welcome at our house, is to fix it. There's other reasons, but there's good reason of many. And so he fixed it for me last time. I got to fix it again, but this morning it wasn't fixed. So my notes, they're still on the computer. Darla said, hey, just take your computer to church. It's a laptop. Well, when you have stuff at home, like people coming over and all this stuff, you got to rearrange everything, because I kind of junk up the dining room and I pile stuff up. Darla said, you got to get your piles out of there. Get all that stuff out. So I got all that stuff out of there, and okay, now where is my monitor? Where is, so all this stuff I'm going to set on the kitchen table now, about this much space. And the battery adapter's in the basement, I think, in a storage container that I got to go find. But anyway, I didn't have much battery. It wasn't going to last anyway, so I didn't bring it along. I could have emailed it to myself, but you have to have your email working. That didn't work. So I'm just going to have to remember. It's awesome. Most of the time, not all the time. So a couple of things. So if you look at, and I don't know if your Bible is the same as mine. I think it probably is. There's a couple of things that you'll know about this. This is a song. So Solomon wrote over 1,000 songs. This is a Song of Solomon. And so, Brother Mike, I don't know if you've prepared yourself to sing this morning. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Well, we don't want to mess that up by doing it now and doing it again for the vow renewal. Okay? Thank you, Brother Mike, for pointing that out. So we don't want to mess that up. But it is a song. It is like a poem. And it doesn't seem like it to us because the original language was what, Brother Jim? It's Hebrew. So a poem in Hebrew, does that translate over to a poem in English? Not usually. Yeah. Yeah, so it's different. So we're probably not going to read what we have to read today and think of a song. We're probably just going to read it and just understand what it says. But why do we create songs? We create songs for joy. We create songs for lots of different reasons. This one was for joy, and so that's something we should remember as we're going through it. This is the romance of Solomon with a Shulamite woman. Okay, so what does that mean, Shulamite woman? Does anybody know that? Probably talks about where she comes from, I think. Yep. Yep. So that's her heritage. And this whole book portrays the joys of love and courtship and marriage. And this is really trying to show how God set up everything. Okay? So Solomon is not necessarily the example to follow in terms of marrying one person and not marrying people that are not inside of his faith. He married a lot of people outside of his faith, mostly we think for political reasons, like he married Pharaoh's daughter. And if you look at why would he do that? Well, he would do that to basically create a treaty between Israel and those other countries for peace, right? Yeah, right. He was very wise, but wise doesn't mean you do it. Yeah.
With so many wives and not so much the fact that it's multiple wives, but it's multiple cultures.
Mm-hmm. And multiple different beliefs.
The reason he ended up building temples to all their strange gods all over Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, things he would never think to do at the beginning. Yeah, but he ended up doing later because of all of the. He was a peacemaker. He was not a warrior, and so trying to create peace. Sometimes we try to create peace today, right? By not telling somebody, "Hey, those beliefs are wrong," whatever they might be. Maybe it's something the Bible says is not true, and somebody else, because of their religion, says it is. We don't want to say something because it's not going to be peaceful. But then what happens? Then it just propagates, right? Then that belief just continues to move forward into the future, and that religion can even grow. So Solomon, here in this example, describes his love for a Shulamite woman, and the gist of it is he goes in disguise to her family's vineyard. He wins her heart and ultimately makes her his bride. And so I will take a look at the outline of this because I always think it's a good idea to look at the bigger picture. just see what it says and kind of the outline, and then we'll get into some of the details. So there's a lot of people involved in this, and if you look at Song of Solomon's, the way it's written, the way that I see it, it talks about a section heading, and then it talks about who's talking to who. So for example, at the beginning in verse 2, it says the courtship, and it says the Shulamite to herself. So assume this is the woman talking to herself. And the next part of it in verse 4, the daughters of Jerusalem to the king. So who are the daughters of Jerusalem? Jewish women? Yeah, Jewish women. Okay. And then it says the Shulamite, Solomon to the Shulamite, daughters of Jerusalem to the Shulamite, so on. So the way it's told is from, like you would envision in a song, where there's multiple different people saying different parts. That's kind of how this is. We might even think of this even like a play. Somebody saying one part, somebody saying another part, somebody saying another part, saying it to each other, saying it to other people. There's a lot of things happening like that in this. And so the first section is the courtship, and that's chapter 1 and through chapter 3 and verse 5. And then talking about that. And then the next part of it is the procession for the marriage. The next one is the consummation of the marriage. The next one is the honeymoon is over. Did you know that was in here? The honeymoon is over? I didn't know that was in here. Okay. Next section is the marriage deepens, and the maturity of love is the last section. Okay? So you kind of see a cycle, right? We see that in Ecclesiastes, Solomon was taking a step back. He was looking at the bigger picture, looking at the future, looking at his position in all things, and making observations. This one is a chronology of romance with someone, getting married, and then as it says the honeymoon is over, okay, so then their normal life is going to continue. And it talks about some of the things associated with that. So there's another thing as we go through here, and I was trying to think a lot of different ways to do it. If we had a projector going, I would show you stuff on a projector, but we don't. But there's examples of things in here like the tents of Kedar. Okay, so this is in verse 5, talking about how black something is. So what I thought I would do, and I was going to have a handout. I had a handout. No handouts. No handouts today. There's things like that I'll give you a second to take a look on your phone and just see what it looks like, if you can do that. And just see an example of something. There's so many different analogies that are maybe not totally familiar to us, but if you look it up, it becomes super familiar, or there's things that we know that are also familiar. So we'll just go ahead and start going through this. So in verse 1, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. I'm gonna actually read who's talking at the headings each time I go there. Otherwise, you're going to lose track. So the courtship, the Shulamite to herself. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. Because of the savor of thy good ointments, thy name is as ointment poured forth. Therefore do the virgins love thee. The daughters of Jerusalem to the king. Draw me, we will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee. We'll remember thy love more than wine. The upright love thee. The Shulamite, I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. Tell me, O thou, whom my soul loveth, where thou feedest, where thou makest thy flock to rest at noon. For why should I be as one that turneth aside by the flocks of thy companions? The daughters of Jerusalem, if thou know not, O thou fairest among women, go thy way forth by the footsteps of the flock, and feed the kids beside the shepherd's tents. Solomon to the Shulamite, I have compared thee, O my love, to a company of horses and Pharaoh's chariots. Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. Daughters of Jerusalem to the Shulamite, we will make thee borders of gold with studs of silver. The Shulamite, while the king sitteth at his table, my spikenard sendeth forth the smell thereof. A bundle of myrrh is my well-beloved unto me. He shall lie all night betwixt my breasts. My beloved is unto me as a cluster of camphor in the vineyards of Engedi. Solomon to the Shulamite, behold, thou art fair, my love. Behold, thou art fair. Thou hast dove eyes. The Shulamite to Solomon, behold, thou art fair, my beloved, ye pleasant. Also our bed is green. The beams of our house are cedar, and our rafters of fir. Okay, there are so many analogies in there. I don't even know, there might be a dozen. Now there's a lot. So obviously they're talking about wanting to be with each other. In verse 5, she's talking about being black. So when we see pictures of old times, like, I don't know, the Dutch masters, whatever, some of those sort of things, if you see people that are perceived to be royal people, whatever, they are all very fair complexion, which meant that they didn't do any work in the fields, whatever. They just did whatever they would do inside the castle or whatever. In this case, she's a worker. She's a person that does a lot of work outside tending a vineyard. So have any of you ever seen a vineyard before, or have an idea of how much work it is to do that? Yeah. Sister Darla, why don't you talk about the vineyards a little bit?
Each section can have different grapes, it could be the same grape because of the ways that the information of it, the slope of the hill, how the rain is, how the sun is, that grape will taste different. So it has to be tuned to that and everything. They're like, in the winter, those grapes fine, they're with me.
Yeah, and so we didn't know all this stuff, but you can go seems like a quarter mile, then they'll say, these grapes are like this. And you go another quarter mile, these grapes are like that. And what's the difference is how much daylight is on that side of the hill during the day is the only difference between those things. So for people that are growing vineyard, you got to do the normal thing you would do for a garden, but there's a lot of things to take care of. It's a lot of work. You have to tend to it every single day. And she's saying here that her mother's children, which are her stepbrothers, were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept. So she more or less is saying, yeah, I took care of the vineyard for everybody else, but I didn't take care of myself. I pretty much took care of everybody with the work that she was doing. And so you can imagine, if she's outside all the time, she's working all the time, she's a very strong person. Verse 7, tell me, O thou, whom my soul loveth, where thou feedest, where thou makest thy flock to rest at noon. For why should I be as one that turneth aside by the flocks of thy companions? So talking about the flocks, what are they talking about here in terms of flocks, do you think? Yeah. So So people just didn't stay around the same place all day. They had to get out. If you had sheep, those sheep had to be fed. Those sheep had to be tended after. You're not going to walk outside in your backyard with a fenced-in backyard and say, okay, sheep, just here's some sheep food. Put a bowl out there for them or something, right? They got to eat grass. They got to go where there's good grass and all that stuff, and they've got to be out there running around to wherever the grass is fresh and all that. So while she is here at the vineyard doesn't move around. The vineyard stays in one place, but the flocks are out there all over the place. So it's no different than, Brother Homer, you're going to Ford to work, right? You're getting in the car, you're leaving. You're out of there. You're not there during the day, right? You're gone. You're gone. Sister Helen, you're home or doing other stuff, but you're not where he is, right? You're in a different place, completely different. And so I think that's what she's talking about here is the separation of them. And Darla and I, so we had a romance back some time ago. We didn't go to high school together. We graduated high school at the same time, but we went to different high schools. And so she dated one of my best friends, and that's how I got to know her initially. And then we started dating. And so one of the things, we started dating, we had a courtship, all that stuff. And I went to Rolla, and we missed each other. And we had phone calls, and her dad would say, "That's enough time on the phone." You didn't have cell phones like now. There was a phone in the house. There was the only phone, and it had a wire. Sometimes it was a long wire, sometimes it wasn't. But I would call and talk to her from school, and I don't know, we'd lose track of time. And I don't know if it was half an hour, or I can't even tell you how long it was. I don't know. But it seemed like to Darla's dad, it was a long time. And so I think we missed each other. I ended up coming home maybe every couple of weeks, something like that. Not necessarily every single time, but something along those lines. And we were definitely missing each other during that time. And so I think that's what they're talking about here is they're missing each other. And then in verse 9, I have compared, this is Solomon to the Shulamite, I have compared thee, O my love, to a company of horses and Pharaoh's chariots. That's not the first thing. That's not the first thing I would think of. So you think of, Pharaoh's chariots, so those were weapons of war, right? But in peacetime, they were kind of a ceremonial thing, kind of used for pomp and circumstance, that sort of thing. And so can you think of anything that we have now that would be close to being similar to that? Yeah. It could be exotic cars. It could be a Mustang. Might be. Also, if you want to stay with horses, because Solomon loved horses. What about the Clydesdales? Have y'all ever seen the Clydesdales? So if you want to see them, you got to go to Grant's Farm and see them there. If you want to see them all the time. Oh, okay, yeah. I never thought about that. It's a good idea too. So, but if you go to opening day of a baseball game, you're going to see them coming in, and they're going to be at the very front. And they're going to be pulling a wagon and all that stuff. They're beautiful horses. They're huge horses, and so I can think of how would Solomon think a horse is beautiful. I don't know. You have to stretch very hard for me to think that a horse could be beautiful. I think those look beautiful. He was comparing her to a company of horses. So not just a single one, but a whole big group of them. And I'm sure if you saw these horses that were associated with Pharaoh's chariots, they weren't going all different kinds of directions, right? They were organized. They were doing things in a specific way. And so more or less they have their act together, and I think he's kind of saying the same thing for her too. She has her act together. Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. And then let's see. So we know myrrh is a spice, kind of like a perfume. And then in verse 14, camphor. So that says henna blossom. So this was something I looked up because I didn't know. I was looking it up on my phone. And that's what I do most of the time now. If I don't know something, just look it up on my phone. Used to go to the dictionary some of the time, or the encyclopedia, but not as much either one of those things anymore. But if you look it up on your phone, and you look at this cluster of camphor, maybe I'm not saying that right. It's a beautiful flowers, a fragrant flower that grew in the oasis of En-Gedi on the western shore of the Dead Sea. Okay, so if this is an oasis, so this is, I guess it's a desert region. You come up on an oasis, and there happen to be flowers there, and this is one of the flowers that you would see there. And so he's comparing, let's see, got to make sure I got this right. Okay, so this is the Shulamite talking. She's saying that he is as a cluster of camphor in the vineyards of En-Gedi. So she's more or less saying that an oasis is in the desert, and inside the oasis are these flowers that are beautiful and fragrant flowers, something you're going to look forward to see if you've been riding all the time. You get to an oasis, you're going to get water, you're going to get all that stuff, and you're going to have these things that smell really good. Okay, and then verse 15, this is Solomon to the Shulamite. Behold, thou art fair, my love, behold, thou art fair, thou hast dove's eyes. Okay, so what do you think about somebody that has dove's eyes? I heard doe eyes before. What about dove's eyes? Are dove's eyes pretty threatening? If you compare a dove's eyes to a crocodile eyes, pretty big difference, right? Yeah. So we know doves are humble. They're beautiful. They have a beautiful song. I don't know. I don't have anything bad to say about doves. Every time there's a dove around, I usually notice. This is from way back when I was a kid. I used to wash dishes and look out on the telephone wire because we had a wire connecting us to the pole. And there was always a dove sitting on that wire for whatever reason while I was washing dishes. And I thought, oh, that's a really good looking bird. And I guess Solomon thinks so too. And then verse 17, the beams of our house are cedar and rafters of fir. So do you remember the deals that Solomon made to get the cedar from way back when he was building the palace? So cedar didn't grow right there where they were. He had to go get it. And so she's saying to Solomon how nice their house is. And then chapter 2, I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valley. And I don't know why I never looked this up. If you got your phone handy, I would say take a look at this, Rose of Sharon. Rose of Sharon is a really different flower. I thought, oh, it's just rose, purple or something. I don't know, but it's not. It isn't anything like that. It looks completely different. I don't know, Sister Helen, do you have a good description of it? So to me, it looks like it's a bush that has all these inverted bells, not inverted, bells, because bells are not inverted. Bells are just bells. It's got all these bells on it, and the bells can be the same color, or they can have like multiple color things in it. It's really beautiful. I didn't know anything about it. So I took a look at that. And then the lily of the valley, another one that's really beautiful. The place where I looked at that, it said, don't eat it. Now, why would you want to eat a flower? But it says poisonous if you try to eat it. I think about those people that say, hey, yeah, let's eat that, see what happens. I don't know. That's not me. I'm not going to be the one that tries something the first time. So they're both back and forth thinking of the finest things here on earth that you can see, and they're saying that being around each other reminds them of those things. That there's just a joy that they have, a happiness of being around each other. And when we go to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals, if you're a big Cardinal fan, which Tyler will say, Dad, you're no Cardinal fan. You're a fair weather fan. You only watch the playoffs. You only watch whatever. You don't memorize the stats for all the players like I do, which is all true. I don't do that. I don't need to. It's not that important to me. But when you go to like an opening game, it's exciting. You're like, oh my gosh, look, everybody's all celebrating. Everybody's all happy for the team and whatever. And there's all kinds of people, different ceremonies and things. They have kids singing. They have all kinds of stuff. And so some of what they're describing here are things that you see that are they're just exciting things. And so it's hard for us to make the connection between all of the stuff that we see in here. But if you just think of how people in your life that you see that you haven't seen for a while, how your heart just leaps with joy when you see them. That's what they're trying to describe. And they're using analogies that the people that were around at that time would say, oh, I know exactly what that is. But we're a couple of steps removed, so it's a little bit more difficult. See, 2:2, it says, as the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. So what a lily among thorns means, that person is set apart, right? And so calling the other daughters thorns, they're probably not the happiest about being called a thorn. But we all know everybody falls in love with somebody, but it's because I think God has somebody for us. And I don't understand the whole thing. I know Darla and I were brought together by the Lord. Can't explain everything, but I really certainly do feel that way. And it's just been a great blessing. Here in verse 2 and verse 3, and as the apple tree among the trees of the wood is my beloved among the sons, I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. And so you go into a forest and you see an apple tree. Does that ever happen? It never happened to me. Might be a crab apple. I've seen like wild grapes before, or what else? Yeah, blackberries. Yeah, good example. Blackberries, and you're like, wow, oh my gosh, look, here's wild blackberries. Now, my dad liked to hunt mushrooms. I'm not the big mushroom hunter because I think I'll probably pick the wrong one. and you guys will say, yeah, this guy picked the wrong one and died. And then it'll be, okay, well, was it really worth it? Not really. So, but morel mushrooms are really great if you get a chance to try those. He brought me to the banqueting house. His banner over me was love. Comfort me with apples, for I'm sick of love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me. So she's just talking about how she thinks about him all the time, how she wants to be with him all the time. He's saying kind of the same things, but they still have what they have to do every day, their jobs they have to do, their roles that they have to do, which is keeping them apart from each other. But in the times where they are able to be with each other, they are joyful times. Let's see, this is the Shulamite talking to herself in verse 8, chapter 2, verse 8. The voice of my beloved, behold, he cometh leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills. My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. Behold, he standeth behind our wall. He looketh forth at the windows, showing himself through the lattice. My beloved spake and said unto me, rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth. The time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grape give a good smell. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. And so what they're describing here is spring, when everything is growing. It's like you walk outside and you get that first breath of just fresh air, and you notice that the buds are coming out on all of the trees and everything, and it's just, the season's changing. And so they're talking about all these different things that you see. One of the things that we look for when we walk at the park is when the turtles come out. So I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but turtles, when they get into a body of water, they'll go burrow down into the mud, all that stuff, and they'll hibernate basically for the winter time. And then when they come out, they all come out on the logs, and they just look like they've been sprayed down with mud. And you can come pretty close to them because they're just out there soaking up the sun, splashing around a little bit, I guess. But then after a little while, don't have mud on them anymore, and then you can't get very close to them because they can see pretty good and they're not as lethargic. But all the things in the spring are awake. Everything is exciting. Everything is looking beautiful. In verse 14, O my dove, thou art in the cleft of the rock, in the secret place of the stairs. Let me see thy countenance, let me hear thy voice. For sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. And maybe that's why I wanted to be on the phone with Darla, because she's got a great voice. I don't know. That's probably it. So I don't know. But her dad was pretty cranky about that, because it was a long-distance call to call Rala. And I think sometimes I was calling. It didn't matter. I was taking up the phone line. Let's see. Okay, so if we just go ahead and skip over to 3 and 6, this is the procession for the marriage. And when you think about a procession for a marriage, what do you think of for like the way they're describing it? Is there anything you can think of that could be similar? So what about Prince Charles and Princess Diana? Remember when that whole thing happened? That was a pretty big deal, right? Was there anything they didn't do that you could think of for that wedding? That was, I don't know, probably the biggest thing that I can ever remember. And in this case, they're talking about procession for the marriage, which I don't think is too dissimilar from that. It says, who is this that cometh out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all powders of the merchant? Behold his bed, which is Solomon's, 80 valiant men are about it, and the valiant of Israel. They all hold swords, being expert in war. Every man hath his sword upon his thigh, because of fear in the night. King Solomon made himself a chariot of the wood of Lebanon. He made the pillars thereof of silver, the bottom thereof of gold. The covering of it is purple, the midst thereof being paved with love for the daughters of Jerusalem. Go forth, O ye daughters of Zion. And behold, King Solomon with a crown wherewith his mother crowned him in the day of his espousals and in the day of the gladness of his heart. So they are sparing no expense and nothing for this wedding. They are doing everything you would do. They have I don't know if you've ever been to a military wedding where they hold up all the swords. Have you guys ever seen that? They kind of make an archway of the swords for the bride and groom to go through. It's kind of a neat thing to see. The chariot here is like a car, a fast car. Probably not a Mustang. Might be something even better than that even. But obviously something beautiful for him to travel in. And this whole thing is just, I don't know. It's just a special time, a special thing in their life. something I'll never forget. When we got married in the wintertime, December 29th, 1984. Some of you guys remember that. And it didn't snow, but it did rain a lot on that day. And Darla didn't want to get married in the winter. She actually wanted to get married in May. Then I said, I think I have to go another semester at school. That was not a good conversation. She didn't really like to hear that too much, that I had to go an extra semester because of my grades were not the best when I first started. But we figured it out, I think. I think we had a nice wedding, and had many of you all were there. Okay, well, we're almost at the end of our time. I didn't cover the whole thing, but I guess what I would encourage you to do is take a look yourself at what's there. The Lord is showing us the joy of being in love. And if you notice the story, and I didn't get through all of it, is it didn't just end when they got married. You know, they just kept going. And they were still in love with each other. Darla, how long have we been married now? 41 years. And I don't know, she's just as beautiful as the day I married her. So I'm very fortunate. Okay, I don't have anything else to say about this. And so thanks for that. We are studying Luke next quarter. And as you can imagine, we're going to get back to moving fast again through the verses. And so I would encourage you to read ahead. And as we get into Luke, there'll be a lot of stuff going on.